Let's do it.
You ready to business?
I am. Yes.
All right. Welcome back, everybody. It's SPX 2024. My name is Joe.
I'm Rusty.
And then with us today,
Brandon John.
what's up, Brandon?
Welcome,
What's going
Brandon.
on?
Hey, this is my first SPX, so
No
I'm
way.
very, very excited. I'm from Minneapolis, Minnesota, so I'm used to doing the local shows there, and this is the first time I've ever flown to do a comic book convention,
Really?
so it's been a whirlwind.
That's a big
weekend.
commitment.
Yeah?
It is, yes. For me especially, yes. This is the second time I've ever flown in my entire life,
wow.
so
Wow.
it's been quite the pilgrimage.
Man, and you got to do it one more time going back.
I do.
Yeah, you're kind of like me.
reminding
Like, oh, don't remind me. No, really, don't.
Yeah. Once when I'm through security, I'm pretty comfortable, but then, in takeoff, it's like, oh, yeah, this is fast.
That was the weird thing.
We're doing unnatural things here.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, look at this.
You get to see the plane wing like wobble, and
Yeah.
you're just like, oh no.
Oh, no.
I'm
Wait,
sure
I
that's
mean,
supposed to happen.
Every
maybe?
time there's a crash, it's big, big, big news. So it tells me how often they happen. But still, that plane wing is waggling.
It's unlikely, but
I'm like,
But
okay,
it's not impossible.
things that wobble, they're more stable. They're more stable. I have to
Oh,
say to
really?
myself.
So ever since my knee injury, I'm more stable. I had no
I'm
clue.
fine.
Thank you,
Maybe
nature.
not people, but skyscrapers, they build
Oh,
it with
yeah.
wobble,
Oh, man,
right?
That's true. We went to Canada,
Okay.
to Toronto for it's a show kind of similar
Oh,
to
yeah,
SPX
TCAF.
called TCAF. Toronto
I've heard of
Comic
that,
Con.
yeah.
It's really good. It would be, I don't know if it'd be driving distance from you unless you really wanted to commit to it.
yeah.
But, it's
Not so much driving distance, probably.
But it's a worthwhile trip if you ever
Yeah.
get the urge. And while there, we did some very touristy things our first time out. And one of them was to go to what they call the CN Tower. It is
Oh,
a big
nice.
spire. It was once the largest building in the world. Now it's probably like 15 to 20th
Yeah.
place. I don't like heights, but I wanted to do it because it's definitely a thing you can say you have done, like this.
Yeah.
We get up there, and there's signs like this building may sway. And I'm looking at it, you can look at all 360 degrees, and there's like Lake Ontario, and then a city that will fall on. And I just, man, I did not like it. So I stayed towards the middle of the circle and just look at, oh, that's really cool. But the closer,
Sure, okay.
when you walked out and you could see the city and the bay or the lake, the thing that got me was you could see the shadows that the clouds cast because you're so zoomed out.
Yeah.
Anyway, just suffice to say, no thank you.
Yeah.
I did it. I'm
So-
glad I did it. I shan't do it again.
But we are glad you braved the plane to come here.
Yes.
Me too.
Yeah, we had our fingers crossed. We didn't know you yet.
Yeah.
We were like,
Gotcha.
please
But we were hoping.
protect that,
You
that
could
brave
sense it.
soul.
Yes.
Keep him in the skies like one of your angels.
I made it here. Nothing else matters.
Nothing else matters.
We're all good.
Everyone else can die a fiery, painful death. But my friend to be needs to arrive safely.
Oh, man. Wonderful.
So what kind of comics you got with you there?
Yeah, so I do Nut Comics. I can show them to the camera
Nice.
here and pass it along.
Yeah, and we'll get like a good little
We'll get a good
close-up
nice shot of
for
it.
you.
Yeah,
Show
of
them.
course. And Nut is a world in which everybody has been remade in the image of one person. So they must now reconcile with their new forms and try and find purpose and happiness in the new world.
So it's really like a light, jolly book. It's not really a lot of introspection involved here.
Well, this issue in particular is kind of about a romance. I've been told my work can at times be depressing, but I think in ways it's really hopeful because these people who have been through so much are still trying to, live, and I think that's something a lot of people can really relate to. I mean, we didn't choose to be in the circumstances that we're in, but
Yeah.
it's up to everybody to kind of make something for themselves.
Well, it's like when people say like, oh, they can be depressing. Like things are just going to be depressing, so you might
Sure.
as well address them in an interesting way, in a way that
Yeah.
helps you process things.
Yeah, well, and Chris Ware, I feel he does similar things in that what's happening in his stories is usually very depressing, but it's also really whimsical to look at.
Yeah.
And it's like, really colorful at the same time, and it kind of just depends on how you see the world, I think.
Yeah, and also, and we've talked about this a few times this weekend, by putting out this kind of like heavy tale, there's a chance that somehow somebody who connects with it kind of alleviates their burden a bit
Yeah.
because they see it in the world, and it's not just a them thing at that point.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think any kind of fiction writing is coming from some kind of emotional truth.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's interesting because I feel especially with indie comics, there's such a distinction made between autobio work and fiction work, but I think they can, in a lot of ways, be kind of the same.
Yeah.
Yeah, you make a good point because I think if you think autobio, that tends to be what people consider to be more potential to be a depressing tale or heavy. And for fiction, it's just not really given the same stigma, even though there's just as likely a chance that a fictionalized work can be heavy or depressing or deal with serious topics.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, just, reading myths, you can't tell me Hercules' life isn't depressing in what he goes through, or relatable in certain ways, even if it's fantastical.
Yeah, he did his best.
Yeah.
He's going through some stuff. Okay.
Who among us isn't? So, how long have you been making your comic?
So I started drawing in 2018 when I turned 18. And I decided in earnest that I really wanted to try and do this stuff. It had never really occurred to me that learning to draw was something that required elbow grease. I thought it was something like, okay, well, you're born with it or you're not born with it. Yeah. But, in learning that, I was like, man, I really got to do this thing. I want to reconnect with my own creativity because I'd always been making things. And, through practicing drawing over years, in 2022, I published my first comic and just kind of jumped in headfirst, which was the first nut I had ever done. And I've been doing them since. I have, I believe, 5 issues in the last couple of years that I've done.
What has made you want to continue the series? Like, what about it that drives you forward? Is there an overarching story that you're trying to tell?
It's interesting. I was thinking yesterday if there was anything else I could do in the world, what that would be. And I thought for hours, and I just couldn't. I couldn't come up with it. I was like, I have to make this work because that's the only thing I ever want to do. And Nut in itself, I mean, the title is kind of just a placeholder for anything I ever want to do. So. Trenton Doyle Hancock, he's an incredible fine artist. He works with what's called the Moundverse, and he'll do sculpture or paintings, collage, illustration, and everything fits under that umbrella. And for me, similarly, I want Nut to fit anything that I ever want to do, for illustration or narratively. So the first ones I did were so different from the one I'm doing now, but there's still a through line if you were to read all of them.
Wow, all right.
Yeah.
I see you have some other books here, too.
Yeah.
Well, they're all just Nut. They're all just Nut. I do apologize. Just more nuts. Cool. I've been doing the rounds and meeting people and dropping them off.
Yeah.
Well, I apologize. I don't want you to. I mean, if you want to take credit for their work, I place them right now. You'd be like, also this completely different comic. Maybe it's mine.
It may say Chris Ware.
Now
on the
you
cover,
tell
but
me.
No.
So this is your first time at SPX. How's the show been for you?
It's been pretty good. Sales haven't been, the best, but it's just such a privilege to be here and such a wonderful opportunity. I mean, I had applied with the full knowledge that I wouldn't get in, and I'm like, oh my God, I got in. I gotta go there now and figure all this out.
That's why we put our thumb in the digital the randomizer scale. He doesn't think he's gonna get in. We're gonna show him. He'll have to fly here.
Yeah, well, it's just so great to meet, just like everybody. I mean, so many people I've seen, on the internet, like you guys or SPX. Just the establishment itself is this mythical thing that exists on Instagram for me and so many other people. But to be invited to be here, it's just like, oh my God, I'm in it now.
That's true. You are in it. Now is your time to take it
right in
over.
the middle of it.
Yes.
Now you got to get Insidious in here.
Infiltrated.
Oh yeah. From now on, it's the realm of Nut, nothing else.
The realm of Nut.
Heck yeah. It's not going to be SPX anymore. It's going to be Nut.
NUT. Just NUT with like the SPX colors. Like,
I like that.
Hostile takeover.
Oh, that's good. And we'll never see it coming, except the part where it's in this interview.
Yeah.
On the official
They'll
YouTube
look at
channel.
this, anthropologically.
Yeah. This is where it happened, guys.
So you don't really have any plans to do anything other than Nut. This
For now,
seems to be
anyway.
A really healthy or a bountiful place to put your creative ideas.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about healthy. Maybe it's obsessive, but it's...
I wish I hadn't used that word because I don't know. I don't know you that well, best friend, but I do think that I hope it's at least useful.
It is. Well, and I wouldn't want to be doing anything else. I mean, I'm not exactly like behind the drawing table, like, ooh, I get to do this, hooray. But, as it's happening and to watch it become a thing, it's just like most incredible feeling in the world.
So cool.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you have a lot of further stories stored up that you know about now? Or is like when you get to the drawing board, you're like, well, what's going to be in the next one?
Well, with the early ones, I was working pretty stream of consciousness. The first one especially was like, okay, I did this page. What's going to happen in the next page? But going forward, I really want it to be more of a, reading experience. I think things that are abstract are interesting and how people can fill in the gaps, but I don't want it to be so abstract that there's nothing to hold on to.
Okay, yeah.
So starting with this issue, I'm like, okay, this is the narrative that's happening. These are the characters that I'm going to use, and I've actually been going around trying to talk to publishers about, finding a home for it somewhere and doing pitches and things like that.
How's that been? That has to be a new muscle you're flexing.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I have the bad habit of just even with artists that I love, just kind of dropping it off and being like, okay, here it is, and walking.
I'm so sorry to burden you with my creation.
I know, and with publishers, I've done a handful over the last 2 days, but I've been really dragging my feet with some of these other ones.
It is.
Yeah. I mean, but it's not personal. I mean, I think everybody here especially knows, okay, you put so much work into this thing.
Absolutely.
But it's not personal if anybody says no or if you don't get the reaction you want to. It's just, they're a business, and I totally understand that.
Yeah.
Sure, yeah.
Oh, I was going to say, so with the new issue, you had said you were, leaning more into a set kind of story or whatever.
Yeah.
Do you feel like with the previous issues you were trying out the different ideas and now you're just trying to kind of focus those together?
Yeah, definitely. So my first issue was really kind of almost a parody of Freak Brothers in a way. I was really interested in underground comics, and I created this old man character based on one of my favorite professors, and I named him Nut, and it was kind of the exploits of this Nut character. But after that first issue, I got sick of that pretty quick, and I was like, okay, well, how can I turn this into something I want to do? And this is what I had seen, I wanted to end up at, but it needed 2 issues in between to kind of explain how we get from one to the other.
Makes sense.
And now I'm finally where I want to be.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, you wouldn't have gotten here if you hadn't done the stuff that maybe didn't resonate with you as much.
Yeah. And I also have the nasty habit of, people will come up to my table. I still have some of those first issues, second prints anyway, and, they'll look at them and I'll say, no, don't look at that one. Look at this one. So
How dare you
I'm
be
not
interested
selling
in
it
this
very
comic.
well.
Yeah. I'd like to
I
check
would-
out the first issue of your book, and you're like, hell no. Issue
No.
4. Issue 5 is
It's
the way to
only,
go.
it's
I
only
even-
here to warn you away.
I know. I even dropped the number.
Okay.
The second issue
Okay,
had number 2 on it, and I'm just like, no, I'm going to drop the number, and it'll be totally ambiguous, any kind of
Nice.
order. There's a date, and it says the number on the back for anybody
But
who
that
cares.
keeps it open
but-
for anybody to just pick one up and try it.
Yeah, well, I actually found, when I did the second issue, with it saying number 2 on it, sales dropped for that one because
Sure.
people
Oh,
said,
yeah.
well, I'll start with 1.
If I don't have one, I'm not going to
Yeah,
buy
and
two.
it's well, 1 is so different. You should really get this other thing. So I think sales for this have
So
proven
you
to be
hate
better.
number 1. That's what I'm taking on here.
Yes. It's been the bane of my existence. I mean, it was great in its ambition, and it got me a job, actually. I work at it's called the St. Paul Conservatory. It's an art high school in St. Paul, where I live, right by Minneapolis. And because of that book, they allow me to teach there, but it's really rough around the edges. The drawing really isn't there. And also the cover, I do paintings for all the covers, and I found this free piece of wood. It was 4 feet by 5 feet, and I said, yes, let's go. This is free. We'll do it. But it weighs about 40 pounds.
Oh my God.
And I've had to lug this thing around as a reminder of this first issue, but also as an incredible weight. So I've just grown to hate it at this point.
You've punished yourself with your own work.
Just strapped to your back.
Man.
It's
You might as
pretty-
well get a tattoo of something you don't like.
It's pretty mythological, and it hangs on my wall, right? And I'm lucky because it's the wall is plaster, but I swear one day it's just gonna collapse and kill me over my couch.
This will be the end of me. at some
It'll be a
point.
very poetic way to die,
Yeah.
but
I am alarmed. I mean, I'm going to keep it together, but now I'm worried about your creation killing you.
oh, it's all good. It's
It's all good.
It's fine.
I don't know.
sweat
It's
it.
an old piece of wood, so I'd like to think it would shatter, as
Sure.
opposed to
yeah.
remaining solid.
crush
Well, one of you
Yeah.
two is going to shatter.
Yeah, I mean,
That's
but
true.
Maybe a little bit of both. We'll see.
I also like that this is the ultimate outcome between 2 hated foes.
Yeah, these 2 arch enemies at this point.
Which one's fallen? So, Brandon, would you like to answer our mystery question?
I would love to.
Let's
Sweet.
bring in the mystery machine of mystery questions. Take that over here.
Also, I like the newsprint for that.
I
It's
am so happy
texturally
about it.
Very cool.
It took forever to find a printer.
Bro, we need a truck. We need some quarters.
Yeah.
That's the second time in a row. Oops. Second time in a row I've forgotten that step.
Oh
we
my
need
gosh.
quarters.
So, quarter for you.
Do I put 1 or 2 in?
Just one.
Just the one.
Oh my god. I haven't done one of these
Bring you guys back.
like in forever. Here I go. Did it go?
Yeah. And then boop.
Oh my
Oh,
god.
There you go.
All right, I'm hidden behind this, but I'm opening it right
Okay,
now.
yeah. We'll get that out of your way.
I'm gonna set the microphone down. Stay tuned.
Yep.
Brandon, what is your mystery question?
Okay, here I go. If unicorns existed, don't you think they'd be the worst? You know, I'm not even really a horse guy. Like, I rode a horse once, and I was just like, why would anybody ever want to do... Like, I guess they're majestic, maybe.
Yeah.
But why,
But-
why do they get to carry that?
No, yeah.
I don't know. I don't think they like people.
No,
you know,
no.
I get the idea. I'm taking advantage of this horse. And
Well-
unicorns, like, they use the horn for something, right? Like, it
Yeah,
seems
I
like
would
they'd be
presume so.
carnivorous.
Yeah.
Evolutionary purposes, it has to be there for a reason, right?
Yeah.
Like animals can be majestic and you can appreciate them, but then like the fact that people choose this one to be like, oh, it's so majestic. Now carry me where the hell I need to go. Like that's
No one's
messed up.
talking about the majestic otter.
Yeah.
And it's like the otter's doing its best, man. What
Yeah.
are you talking about?
That's true. I guess it really is the only majestic beast of burden. But I do love the old mid-'80s movie Legend, where they had
Oh, yeah.
the unicorns, but with whale noises. I mean, that was hella majestic.
That's pretty cool.
I enjoyed that.
So, do you think unicorns would be the worst?
You know, if they don't bother me, I won't bother them. I guess this isn't a yes or no to this question, but I'll say yes. Yeah,
Okay,
I'll be
yeah.
convicted in my answer.
Well, you know
Wow.
what? They could be, is I guess what it is.
It depends on the
Depends on
unicorn.
That's it.
Well, if you existed, you could be the worst too.
Oh yeah, I do, and I am. So yeah. Make no mistake.
Where can people find out more about your work online?
Yeah, so Instagram, that's the primary method of finding anything out about me. At Brandon _of_ John. And also my website, row7.squarespace.com. That's where I'm putting everything out, and also trying to get it in stores more. Places like Quimby's, Partners and Sons, Desert Island, stuff like that.
Nice.
Now, before we let you go, we have one last vitally important part of this interview.
Oh no,
This is a new element introduced just this year.
amazing.
We have the Joe and Rusty Prize Gallery right behind us. We have a
Whoa.
bevy of prizes, all for your picking.
What?
We have a series of coasters. We have a pot holder. We have a deck of playing cards. We have a placemat. We have a box full of puzzle pieces, which will form a puzzle.
Eventually.
We
Oh my
have a
God.
tea towel. We have a gigantic blanket. We have a pillow. We have a keepsake box and a shopping bag. Brandon, which prize would you like to have for your very
Oh
own?
my God, I didn't know I would get things. Oh man, deck of cards?
Oh, a deck of
Could I do
cards
that?
it
Go for it.
is. If one of you could,
I'll
it's
reach
very
it-
far back.
I'll reach
we'll
it
get
later.
We'll get it in a bit. Yes.
My arms are too short.
Thank you so much for sitting with us. Thanks for
Yes.
taking the time to come out to SPX.
Yeah, thank you. This has been delightful.
I
So
hope
good
you,
you had
I
a
hope
good
it's a
experience
rewarding
this weekend,
experience, and I hope you don't die on your return home.
Me
Yes.
too.
Fingers crossed, everybody. And then at the fades is in memoriam.
Sarah McLachlan song playing like